Welcome, everybody. My name is Kathy Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. And we're thrilled you're here. Every month, we bring different webinars, and we partner with a lot of amazing companies. And we have been partnering with Mylio. We worked with Mylio for many years, but in the last year, we've really been working with them closely and learning their product, seeing how it can help our professional photo organizers use it to help their clients organize their photos. But really, it's a great product for everybody to use. And so we'll be bringing you a series of webinars. We're excited to introduce Rich.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks guys for joining us. Glad you can make it. We're taking a high-level look at Mylio Photos today, and I'm approaching this as if you are wanting to use the product mostly for yourself, or if you were going to be a photo manager working with end clients, some of the things that you'd want them to know. Like all tools, there's different levels of depth, and so a tool can be as easy or as hard as you want it, depending upon how many doors you open up and how many things you go down and start to explore. So we're going to take a look here at a wide range of doing things, and I hope that this will give you a good way of being able to really work with your images. So I'll jump right in, and we'll take questions along the way, and I'm going to give you, like I said, a high-level overview. So we're going to talk about using Mylio Photos as really a central hub, and how you could take advantage of some of its tools to accomplish things to really help organize your content. Okay, so here we go. My name is Harrington. I am the product lead for Mylio Photos, so I work with our product team designing features, and we've got several other folks from our team here today to answer questions and help out. So we look forward to trying to really help you get the most from this. So put as many questions as you have into the Q&A pod. I'm also a photographer and a photo educator. Through the years, I've written about 40 books and put out more than 200 full-length courses. So you might have seen some of those things. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing a bunch of questions right away, and let me just get one thing out of the way. There's this burning desire that people want something that does what Lightroom doesn't do, but they also want all their Lightroom edits to perfectly come across. Here's what I'm going to say. That's a bit of a pipe dream, because Adobe is a proprietary company and they don't let their edits come across. But we'll talk about ways that you actually should be editing and managing your photos and what does come across, and how you can use Mylio with any editing tool that you want, but you actually should start making files when you're done editing them, not leaving them in a semi-permanent stasis state without actually generating edits. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We do have a plugin that will let you hand things off, and most of the information from Lightroom will come over. But let's not go too far down the Lightroom tunnel here, because what I've seen happen a lot is that people frame everything from the perspective of the tool they know, and then they miss out on a lot of things. So let's try to take an open mind here so I can walk you through some of the possibilities, and then we'll get into questions, but don't frame the world through just Lightroom Classic. Okay, so we have Mylio Photos and Mylio Photos Plus, two different products. One is our free product, one is our product that has an add-on subscription component. We'll talk about both of those. It is available for Windows, Mac OS, Android, and iOS, and it allows you to connect all of your devices together if you're using our Plus plan, so that they will stay linked and have the ability for everything to be shared between those devices. However, Mylio is not a cloud program. It is actually independent of the cloud. Rather, what it does is lets your devices communicate directly to each other, and then you can decide where you store your pictures, whether you're using local storage, hard drives. You have the ability to use a variety of cloud storage platforms if you want, and there's pros and cons to each of these. Okay, so with Mylio Photos, it's a great way to really enjoyably browse and search through a really large photo library, and it offers very fast speed when you do this. It also gives you the ability to collect everything from many different places, so it doesn't have a lot of the limitations of other libraries. In fact, it's really the only way to get your iPhone fully integrated with a PC computer, or to have an Android phone working great with a Mac. It just gives you that cross-application functionality, which is really cool. So that's kind of the high level of what we do, and I'll explain to you as we go through the product here the difference between the two versions that we offer. Our free product is effectively very similar to a Lightroom Classic, except it doesn't come with a $20 a month subscription. However, we do have a paid version that is $10 a month that does have some really good benefits, and we'll talk about what those are as well. So what you'll do when you install Mylio Photos is it will take time to index everything that you have on your current device, and that includes any direct attached storage. So this lets us solve a bunch of problems for most users. The first thing we do is makes it really easy to collect everything together in one place. So we have the ability to just make it simple to really get everything into one collection. So what happens when you launch Mylio Photos is you can decide that you want to start bringing everything together. In this case, I plugged in an iPad that we're going to set up in a moment, but it pops up the ability here to copy from iPad, just like it was a memory card. Same thing with a phone or an Android phone. You can literally plug in the device and treat it as if it were a memory card and import. Additionally, though, when you go through the onboarding process, we show you our guided import screen. And this makes it easy to understand the many different ways that you can actually import content. So Mylio Photos has the ability to pull stuff in from your pictures folder, your movies folder. It can connect to an Apple iCloud photo library and live read that data. You can install it on an Android phone. It can ingest from Facebook and Instagram and Flickr. We do support the Google Takeout tool, so you can migrate a Google library. And then, of course, you can choose any folders, memory cards, or sync to another device using the Mylio Photos app. Now, I would like to point out, too, that we have a great quick start learning here. If you click Start Learning, it takes you to 7 simple tutorials with a downloadable PDF. And that's a great way to refresh. If you guys are going to be working with other family members or clients, you can also use that tool as a great way to get them up to speed really quickly on how to use the product. So this kind of gives you those different ways of ingesting. Now, I'm going to show you and not skip the step, since we're newer users, many of us, and actually be able to properly ingest and set up a device. Now, I saw one question that came past, which was people said they had a hard time syncing their mobile phone. Here's something that I need to point out. So when you're doing syncing, you need to have your device plugged in and leave it running. When you're doing device-to-device syncing, not using the cloud, Apple and Android don't let that run in the background. There's a difference between cloud syncing, particularly both in cost and in speed, that you run those things in the background. But Mylio can actually run much faster over your local network, but you need to plug your device in and let it actually be powered with the app in the foreground to do those initial syncs. Now, I'm going to switch over here to my tablet. Let me stop sharing my screen. And I'm just going to share the tablet here directly so you can see this getting set up. And I'll walk you through just the initial process. Now, it doesn't matter if you are using a tablet or if you are using a phone or a new device. It's pretty straightforward. When you launch Mylio Photos for the first time, you'll be invited to sign in. What you'll then need to do is enter an email address that you want to use for your account. Now, the first time you enter the email address, it will actually create a new account for you. So if you're brand new to the app, you just sign in with a valid email address, and we'll take care of setting up the account in the background. Let me just go ahead and do this. And I'll just quickly type. Now, I'm using a modifier since I have to do demos all the time, but I'll click continue. And now it asks for a code. So you saw the steps there. I logged in, I typed in an email, I got a code, I entered the code, and now I'm into the app. Once you're in, you're invited to add your media, pretty straightforward, and you can choose any of these places to connect. So additionally, you'll see that if there was media on your device, you can also click to add media and then choose your Apple Photos account, or choose to use the Files app and navigate to a memory card or navigate to an SSD hard drive, or connect to other online services like Instagram, Facebook, Flickr, etc. So this gives us the ability to bring everything into Mylio pretty straightforward. Now I'm going to switch back to the app and the slides, but I just wanted to show you how to get in and set up an account. JC or anyone else, Tracy, were there any questions about account setup or things you need me to run through again so that we don't miss that part, since my audio is being weird?
Most of the questions so far are not about account setups, so I think you're okay moving forward.
Okay, great. Then let me switch screens. As you see, once you get everything into Mylio, you'll be able to start actually browsing your different devices. So this is my real Mylio. I've got my Android phone. I've got my Apple Photos device. I've got my Mylio inbox, which is like an email inbox on all my devices. I'm doing a little bit of cleanup here. I've been merging through some different things, but I can mark that right now as a private folder, for example. And I'll just switch spaces here, and I can actually hide things so that we have private photos. So one of the cool things we have is this concept of spaces. And you'll notice that folder by folder, I can click and assign a category for items. So Mylio lets you categorize things such as personal, family, work, or private, or custom. And then you have up to 64 categories that you can use to categorize an item, and you can actually assign multiple categories. When you assign it to a folder, it will actually propagate those settings across the devices and all the content within. So that makes it easy if you do need to assign settings like that to go in and actually label them. Okay, so you can go through and very quickly click. Now, these spaces here are default. So you can rename them, you can customize them. We'll talk more about what they look like, but this idea of collecting lets you gather everything in one place. And that's one of the main benefits of Mylio, is bringing everything together in one place. So because everything is so scattered, this makes it simple to pull everything together. Okay, now we're gonna talk through, guys, how everything connects. Just be patient. Right now, we're just talking about pulling everything in, okay? So you can go ahead and start to gather from all sorts of places. When you import, we'll automatically remove duplicate files on import. So if you start plugging in old hard drives, it will actually collect and allow you to just pull in what's unique. So I recommend that you go through and pull out the drawer of old memory cards, USB sticks, memory cards, and just start pulling it in and let Mylio start to figure things out. We also offer a great photo declutter tool to help you clean up bursts and similar photos. And you can use it to go through and remove things that you don't want. So for example, let's say I want to go up to my Apple Photos here. What I can do is choose to view this as a flattened folder. So even though I've added my iPhone and my iPad and different devices, I can view this as one unified folder. And now what I can do is go through and start to clean it up. So when we run the cleanup tool here, quick review, it will automatically let me go through and mark rejects, pick rejects, etc. I could just go through and flag things and say, that's a reject, that's a keeper. And on a touch device, you could just swipe left or right to pick or reject, or up and down to assign stars. So you can go through and easily do those things. We also offer a great tool called Photo Declutter. And this lets you say, hey, look at this folder, match the camera, match the aspect ratio, and oh, go ahead and show me pictures that were captured within 15 seconds of each other, for example. And what that will do is start to look at your whole photo library or the folder you told it and gather those together. You can then use filters over here to say things like, just show me ones where different properties were there. For example, the flash didn't fire. Or use AI and narrow that down to only pictures that are blurry or where people's eyes were closed. So you can go in and actually start to assign rules like that and start to cluster those together. So here you see, by setting that to a timer slider, I'm able to start to locate problematic photos. Let me just go a little bit later here, and you'll start to see where I shot a bunch of very similar pictures of the same thing. right? So by adjusting this, I can go through and just click and start marking away the ones I don't want, and marking these for cleanup very easily, and review a whole bunch of burst mode photos. So it makes it really simple to kind of consolidate and clean up as you go. Now, other things we give you, we talked about guided import. That makes it very simple to add from all your devices. And so we really hold your hand through that process so you can get everything into the application. Additionally, once it's all there, remember, this is completely private. So only your devices can see your Mylio Photos library. If you're on Mylio Photos Plus, all of your devices can see each other. If you're just using the free version of Mylio Photos, then only the pictures that are on that device can be worked with. But that's the same limitation that Lightroom Classic has, for example, except our application is free if you're using it with just a single device. So this gives you that ability to easily browse anything you have on that device, as well as any direct attached storage. Now, as you import, you don't have to do a lot of work to get organized. That's because we give you the ability to import and organize into folders on import, or leave everything where it already is and just use the date tree. So for example, if we take a look here at the filtering ability, take a look at some of these filters we have. I'm just going to go back here and go to the top level and say, you know what? I just want to see panoramic photos. And it found panoramas. Or I only want to see raw photos. And I'm looking for raw photos captured in the month of August, and I could pick the date. Or the entire month of August, irregardless of year. Hey, this is when we always have back to school activities. I want to see those. And I can go through and start to pick out specific years, specific months, and make my own custom recipe very quickly to narrow down and find the pictures that I'm looking for. Once you've built a recipe, you can actually click and save it as a quick collection. So we've got quick collections here for 4 and 5 stars, camera cleanup, things you need to organize. This just really speeds up that process. But as you see here, you can make your own recipes. And unlike any other application, you can search for things by all sorts of properties. Like, for example, maybe I'm just looking for things that are portrait focal length from 50 millimeter to maybe 100 millimeter. And so I can actually dial that in and limit that there to a particular focal length and start to narrow it down like so. Only pictures from August at portrait focal length. Look at how crazy it is and how you can go through and do all sorts of sorts. Okay. Now, Liz, yes, you are correct that scanned pictures need dates. We'll talk about that more in a moment, but we have a whole calendar and every single picture can have dates assigned, pictures assigned. It doesn't have to be digital. So if I navigate here, and here's my folder tree, for example, maybe I navigate right to my scans folder. Let me just dig in there and I'll just type in the word scan and I start finding things. There we go. I could jump right to a particular place in the tree. See? Makes it very simple to get to exactly what I'm looking for. And then you can easily modify all of that content. Now I'm going to switch back to the public workspace so I can see more things, but this lets you jump between your different categories very quickly. See, with just a click, I can see all sorts of different items. So let's go here to scans and I'm going to start to load in. 1 second. Let me just switch here. I can start to go into some of that material that has older family photos. And right here, we have a great workspace called Family History that I suggest, and it gives you all the fields that you likely want to modify. So, for example, I went to the Los Angeles Olympics here, but I didn't know the exact date. So I looked back at our family trip and maybe I just know the month and the year. So I can say that that was taken in August 1984, and it will add the correct metadata date as a fuzzy date. Here we've got more information, April 23, 1960. So again, I can set that and assign the relevant information to the picture so that I can easily find things. And then as you do this, you're able to start to browse and look on the calendar. Additionally, not only can you assign dates and details and captions and file names, but you can face tag people. It'll actually start to recognize that there's people in the picture, and then using facial detection, once you've tagged a person a few times, it'll find more pictures of the person. And in this case, I actually put in the address where my dad grew up. And so all that information is now actually embedded in the scanned photo. So if you want to get organized to the question of, oh, well, you can't take advantage of these tools if they're not scanned, absolutely, just add the information in. For example, with just a click, I could explore this location on the web, jump on over to Google Maps, for example, and see exactly where my dad grew up. Drop into Google Street View, get turn-by-turn driving directions when I'm there. A little bit later this year, we're going to let you connect your address book to people. So as you start people tagging people, you'll have their email addresses and their phone numbers. So when you want to send them a picture or you want to start a phone call, you can do that right from a picture or a memory that you have open. So we really believe in connecting things together so that when you're on a photo, you can say, you know what, show me everything from that folder or show me everything from that time. So for example here, let's go to our search view. And I'll just start typing something that's a favorite family activity of ours, Star Wars. It used a series of ways of finding it. Here, I had actually tagged the photo Star Wars. Here, it looked it up on the map when I visited the Star Wars land when I was at China Disney World. Here are events from my calendar. And down here is actual text recognition. Let's take a look at those for a moment. To be clear, it read the text on my daughter's t-shirt. It read the text on the screenshot. It read the text here in the background when we went to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. It can actually read signs and everything else. So besides AI object recognition, we have OCR text recognition. We have people recognition. We turn GPS addresses into things that you can search by. So our search tools are really quite amazing, and they make it really simple for you to very precisely find exactly what you're looking for. And you can combine things. So for example, if I say I want to find photos of my daughter on a swing, it was able to use object recognition and start to find some of those, see? So you can actually dig in and do searches like that. So it lets you do quite a bit. All right, let's jump forward a little bit, but I think you get the idea of pulling everything together. And as we said, we've got really powerful filters. So you can sort by all different types of date, times of day, date ranges, camera settings, you name it. We take every piece of metadata and index it and make it discoverable. So here's an example of searching for every July 4th picture I have at night. I wanted to find fireworks, so I just did a simple search for July 4th and nighttime. And I was able to find things without having to actually go in year by year, okay? So Brian, to your question of XMP, raw files have to store everything in XMP. If you have non-raw files, we use XMPs because that's what we replicate between the machines, but you do have the ability to write information into the file permanently or on export. So you can decide what information is embedded. Everything we do is IPTC standard. So we are fully on board with IPTC standards across the board, and also the family history metadata working group standards that have been set for working with family history details, okay? So you've got all that. And as we pointed out, you can connect to your social media accounts and start to pull things down so you can reclaim those files that you might have forgotten. All right, let's jump forward and talk about this idea of connecting your devices. So If you have a Mylio Photos Plus plan, it is very easy to connect all of your devices together. One of the things I want to point out is that Mylio Photos does this without the need for the cloud. The cloud is 100% optional with Mylio Photos. So if you were to go get 2 terabytes of cloud storage from Microsoft, that's going to cost you $40 a month. If you were to get it from Apple, it's about $7 a month, and actually $12 a month now. And there's different price points depending on the vendors and what you get, but it quickly adds up. Mylio Photos is independent of the cloud. You can use the cloud if you want it, but you don't have to use it. And we'll talk a little bit later about those options. What happens though is that all your devices connect and can see and talk to each other. And so we allow them to sync. So with Mylio Photos Plus, it's truly cloud independent. You can use the cloud or not use the cloud. It'll have no impact on whether or not you can sync across your devices. What'll happen though is that you can also easily move things between apps. So whether you're using our free app or our paid app, we have a universal clipboard. You can literally copy a picture, switch to another app, and paste it. One of the biggest things that happens all the time is the wasted effort of making temporary files. People just start exporting low quality JPEGs to their desk all the time, and it's just silly. You end up with low quality copies, and there's no reason for it. I literally can just be in Mylio Photos, find a picture that I want, like this one here. Here's Theo and his dad. I can just copy that to my clipboard, switch to another application. For example, I'll just make a Slack message here with Theo. And he just Slacked me to tell me that my audio cut off. Let me move this over so you can see it really quick. But watch how simple this is. I can just hit paste and send him that photo. I didn't have to export it. I didn't have to reveal it. I didn't have to convert it. If I were to paste it into an email, it would make it an attachment. If I were to paste it into a Dropbox, it would paste the actual source file. You have total control. And when you want to take something and share it, you also can go to our very robust share menu and decide exactly how it copies to the system clipboard. So you can actually choose the settings, or if you want to message it or send it with an email or anything else, it's all right there. So very precise controls. Additionally, we give you the ability to decide exactly how your devices synchronize. So you're in complete control of what ends up on each device. So for example, you can work completely offline. When I take out my phone, I have 500,000 photos on it with no internet connection. Same thing when I use my iPad. I can work on an airplane, I can work in a coffee shop, I can work with slow internet, I can work with fast internet because I don't need the internet. Mylio Photos has the ability to sync between your devices very easily, and you have complete control over how things sync. Now, what happens here is when you start to sync, you decide what goes to each device. So you can connect Mylio Photos if you want to Google Drive, OneDrive, or S3. You can also use your own NAS, or you could just leave a computer on at home, and when you need something, Mylio will send it to your device when you ask for it. We do this because cloud storage really adds up, and people run out of space on their phones all the time. So for example, on a smartphone, 40 pictures these days at high quality format equal a gigabyte. Now think about that and how quickly that space adds up. The flip side of this is think about storage like this one on the left. It's gotten so much cheaper. So you can get a much larger hard drive for a fraction of the cost of a phone. A 1 terabyte phone will cost you about $1,500 and will hold about 41,000 photos. A 10 terabyte hard drive will hold over 400,000 photos at high quality raw format for $200. And if you were to put those 10 terabytes in the cloud, pretty much every provider would charge you $100 a month to do that. Think about that. In 2 months' time, you've paid for the hard drive. This is why we believe that the cloud should only be used for certain things, transferring files, maybe some offsite backup that you choose exactly what goes up there, not to hold everything. It's just not convenient, it's not cost conducive, and it's actually quite bad for the environment. We also let you set up travel drives, and this is what I love. I take one of these with me everywhere. Take a small portable SSD and make it a travel drive. Now, your Mylio Photos Plus will automatically put the most recent 3 months photos on it, and you can decide what else. So let me show you what this looks like. When you go to your devices panel and click on devices, you can see all the devices you have on your Mylio Photos account. Now, most of mine I turned off for this demo because I'm just working on this machine. But let me go down here to my travel drive for a moment, and I'll show you what I can do. Well, first up, here's my iPad. So on my iPad, I told it to have all optimized images at full quality, all the optimized images here, and not full quality, but at optimized quality, which we'll talk about in a second. 5x7-inch print, raw files, full metadata. On my travel drive, I went in and set that up a little bit differently, and I told it to have this. Originals for all my 4 and 5 stars, everything from the last 3 months, and I made a quick collection called Essentials. Well, what is that? Well, if I click here, I can see that it is everything in my inbox, my pictures folder, my Zoom backgrounds, travel documents, my to organize folder, and my ebooks. You can literally make your own recipes of what folders go on each device. And if you're not that organized, it's as simple as just picking a folder. You can literally navigate to a folder you want. I could say, oh, I'm really going to be traveling and talking to family. Let me select my scans folder, come on over to the sync panel, scroll down to the device that you want, and just click on it. And I could say, oh, put that on my travel drive. And I could just click there and say, copy to full quality. Boom. And now it'll start transferring to that drive. So with Mylio Photos Plus, you have complete control over what gets synced where and what gets backed up. So you can go into your device panel and be very precise about what each device carries. So we give you complete management over everything you sign into the account: phones, tablets, hard drives, cloud, etc. Okay? And we do have this option called Space Saver that will let you fit a whole bunch of images on your laptop, mobile phone, or tablet. So those are these optimized raw files. So I fit 500,000 of them on my phone, 500,000 on my tablet. They're a 5x7-inch print, 300 pixels per inch, and full raw data with all metadata. So you can just choose our Space Saver preset or decide to sync optimized images. And what happens is they take up about a 15th of the space of the original. Now you can post to social media, share, make a web gallery, make a print, put it up on the screen, run a slideshow, do all the stuff you normally need to do without having to carry around all of these. I used to travel with 4 or 5 hard drives like this with my suitcase everywhere I went, lugging my photo library with me everywhere on the airplane to families. Oh, this is stuff I'm working on. I don't need to anymore. I literally can work with these high quality files or the original files whenever I want. And when you click, it'll switch over. So on your main machine, you have your original quality and you hook up a hard drive as a protection vault. This is just a hard drive that will have a backup copy of everything. So we completely automate the backup process. Plug in a hard drive, let it run. Mylio will automatically copy everything to that backup drive for you and alert you if it needs things. However, on your portable devices, you could put those optimized files. And that makes it really simple to have just the quality you need when you're on the go. And so you'll just click and choose one of the presets like Space Saver or assign whatever optimized images you want. And that'll make it really simple to have just what you need. So if you think about it, this is kind of the breakdown. 1 terabyte of photos on your laptop will take up about 50 gigabytes of space, right? So that's not that much space because the original desktop was a terabyte. So that's a huge space savings. And so when you add everything into Mylio Photos Plus to begin with, it'll automatically create these optimized images that make it easy to share. And here's kind of the difference. So you can have a catalog that takes up about 1% of the space. You can have your optimized images that are about 5% the size of the original, or on your desktop, it only uses 5% more storage space to make those thumbnails and optimized images for all your other devices. And when you add things, they don't have to move. So I mentioned, and you saw that I was starting to connect some new hard drives here. So here's my Mac Studio, right? So if I were to click on one of these and say, oh, I want to reveal that, go ahead and show me that in the Finder. It actually opens up the original hard drive right on my device. And so there's the hard drive. There's the folder called scans. It's directly on my device. I didn't have to move things. It's right there. So I was able to get to exactly what I needed and use Mylio Photos to manage that for me. Okay. And to make things easier with Mylio Photos Plus, we also give you unlimited optimized images stored on a secure server. So if you forget to sync, you can grab what you need while you're on the go. Okay. All right. From the selection side, we talked about the many ways that you can find things. So the quick review tool is perfect to just swipe through and pick your best pictures. Swipe left to mark something as a reject, and it'll add the reject flag. Swipe to the right to make it a pick. Really simple. We also make it very fast to navigate. So you have a fully searchable folder tree. So if you were to go to folder view and take a look here, you could just start typing. I'm looking for Panama. There we go. There's every folder that matched Panama, and I can switch right to it. If I just click here and say, okay, go right there, boom. Now I'm in the folder and I can see everything within and all the content. So it makes it really simple for me to start to navigate between everything and quickly drill in and find just what I'm looking for. Okay. Beyond this, we showed you dynamic search. Very easy to find things. Just enter the terms and you can search by objects, by people, by locations, by date, by text, and it will go through and serve up all those results very quickly. All right, before I go forward and talk about our smart tags, JC, is there anything that we need to revisit from questions in the chat pod really quick?
A lot of people have been asking about Google Photos import and how that works and how that metadata is imported into Mylio. So covering that import type might be beneficial for people.
Sure. So in order to import from Google, Google requires you to do a Google takeout. We have step-by-step instructions on our website how to do it. You have to request it from Google, and then they could take between 3 and 7 days before they give you your data. But they basically give you a download of some zip archives. And then with just a click, Mylio Photos can ingest all of that, even our free product, and you can pull it in and it will preserve most of the metadata, a lot of the organization. I think, Alex, your mic might be live. There we go. Cool. JC, anything to add there about Google?
Okay. Sorry, I'm muting. No, you covered it. The important thing is to really follow the step-by-step instructions we provide and that you don't unzip those takeout files, because then you're basically separating the data even further than Google already did. So just point Mylio to the takeout files and let the software do the rest. It's extremely easy. It's so easy that people don't believe it's that easy.
Yep. You shouldn't have to repeatedly request the takeout files, but they only send you one email about it, Aaron. So you have to keep an eye out for that email. They really kind of drag their feet about making it easy. Okay. Deborah, to your question about people being able to access a collection, we would do that with spaces. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We also support smart tags. So when you're searching for things, for example, my view here, I can twirl down. And so maybe I'm looking for something very specific. Like I want to find, let's just clear out all our filters here. I want to find pictures of a beagle. Boom. And with just a click, I found pictures. But if I click the gear icon here, I can actually adjust the sensitivity of it to show more or less results, and it will refine things and load that in. So when it's more sensitive, it says, oh, this might be a beagle. If we lower that to the default sensitivity when it can't see the ears, it didn't know that that picture was a beagle and it was less confident. So I can go through and sort for all sorts of things, different animal types, different activities, different types of food, plants, you name it, vehicles. So you can do really cool things. And then in the info panel, it doesn't actually turn that into a keyword until you promote it. So you have the ability to look at things here and then click and convert a smart tag into a real IPTC keyword if you want. So you can actually go in and mark those and promote them to real keywords. As far as sharing with other people, we have two types of sharing with Mylio Photos Plus. We do offer shared albums, so you can publish albums for anybody to view with a web link. And then you also have the ability for spaces. So spaces let us assign things to images in those categories. So I can switch between built-in spaces, or I can make a custom one. So for example, I made a space called Family History Project, and I can edit that space. I can assign a passcode, only put the family history pictures in it. Assign what people are allowed to do. Hey, they can't actually delete things or add devices or delete files. Oh, I want them to be able to look at stuff and modify, but not delete anything. And it's okay if they could share it, but I don't want them making any edits. So you can actually go in and granularly assign permissions, and then sign in another device like a family member's iPad or phone, go right over to your device panel, and you can actually just click on that device and assign it a sync policy and a space. So you can actually go in and I can say, oh, this one is in the family history space. And now it's locked in there and they can't switch without a passcode. So you can actually log in a lot of devices and collaborate on a family history project. Or if you are managing clients, give the clients read-only access or share access, but not the ability to delete things from their photo library. So this is really the first multi-device tool on the planet that lets you have specific permissions assigned for each of the users based on the device that you log it in, okay? So you can go through and you use one Mylio account, Lisa, for everybody and your plan. So it's up to you if you add people in, but you don't have to have a separate Mylio plan for each person. Rather, you just sign them into the Mylio account and tell them what they have access to, okay? Down the road, we'll have other types of plans and sharing, but this is what we have today, and it's actually quite versatile to really give you control, okay? Now, I talked about smart tags. Let's kind of start to wind things down with a little bit about the ability to protect things. So with Mylio Photos, I already showed you that you can go in and add meaningful metadata. You can work with scanned material. You can work with old photos. You can pull all that together. But once you've pulled everything together, realize that people lose stuff all the time. Devices fail, hard drives fail, people lose their phones, stuff is stolen. Hundreds of phones get stolen every minute. So, people lose their stuff. So what happens is you can set up backups automatically. So with Mylio Photos, it's very simple to set up a good backup procedure. So what you can do is sign in multiple devices and set them as vaults. Just pick a big hard drive and make it a vault. Then automatically that vault will get a copy of everything that you need to back up. Additionally, if you decide that you want to put things in the cloud, we offer the ability to encrypt the data, which means that nobody else can read it or see it except for your devices. So only your devices can decrypt the data. Now, the benefit here of protecting to multiple devices is you're protected against failure or loss. So your hard drive goes down, the RAID fails, you didn't lose it. You can restore from other devices in your library. If you have a vault fail, you can restore. That's what I'm doing right now. I actually had a hard drive fail, so I'm rebuilding my library from my backup drives, and it's just automatically transferring everything to this machine. You go in and set up a device as a vault. You can have as many vaults as you want. Each vault will automatically back things up. If you do decide to go to the cloud, then you can decide what goes to the cloud. Set rules for rating, label, keywords, category. You decide. And I suggest you do this because computers are really good at finding information. So whether you use Apple Photos or you use Lightroom or you use Mylio, go do a keyword search or an OCR search for password or American Express if you have a credit card like that. And you will be amazed at what sort of things the computer can read. It can literally read the photo I took of the back of my router because I was having a hard time reading it in the dark and I wanted to zoom in and check the password. It read over someone's shoulder and read the screen content. It's literally reading the screen. It's taking things that were dark and can brighten them up and actually see it. So OCR is downright scary. And when you start adding in all the other information, like who you have pictures with, where you take them, where you were, what time, what places you visited, your Google Calendar, your Google location history, you should start to get kind of freaked out about how much big data is out there. And this is another reason why we keep everything so private. Now, there's a lot more to Mylio Photos, but here's what I'd suggest. Download the free version of the app and the quick start guide. Go ahead and install it on your main computer. It's free to use. Let it index your hard drives in your storage. It won't move anything. All your storage will stay where it is if you add it as a linked folder. And let it index everything so you can use it as a search tool and to quickly find things. Then, once you get that set up, go ahead and sign in on your phone. And at that point, it's a good idea to start our 30-day trial. That'll let you try out all the syncing features, and it will also let you connect a vault so you can get everything backed up. At the end of the 30 days, if you're not happy, it didn't matter because you could take the trial without a credit card. You don't have to do anything. It'll just roll back to the free plan. But good chances are all your phones, all your devices, your main hard drive will be totally backed up with another backup copy on that vault. Now, I'd like to encourage you to keep staying subscribed because there's all sorts of benefits. And if you check out our community and the product manual, you'll see tons of stuff that we couldn't get into here today. And I believe we're getting together next week for some of the people that are photo managers, and we'll take a look at ways that you can also use this with clients to manage clients' devices. But it really is a versatile, flexible tool. And I hope you guys got an idea today of some of the things we can do. So fire away with any other questions, and the team will do the best to answer right now. And thank you, Kathy, for having us.
Thank you, Rich. This was great. Good. You can hear me now, right?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah. Great way to go through. There's been a lot of questions being asked there in the chat, and your team is doing a great job in answering them. And so again, this has been recorded. We will send an email with the recording so that those of you who want to watch it again and a few more times over. But I think there's some great, like you have your how-to getting started guide. Marcy's saying fantastic. Thanks so much. I think it was just a good.
And I want to emphasize just one thing because I keep seeing this question. I know it's hard for people to wrap their head around this because everybody else holds your photos hostage. We don't. So we are managing your devices for you, but everything is still on your devices. And when you leave Mylio Photos and you go to the operating system, it's your hard drive with real folders, with real XMP sidecar files and IPTC information that works in other applications and can be browsed. So the worst thing that happens when you leave Mylio is you have a perfectly organized hard drive that's been decluttered and deduped with a backup drive. And all you're going to miss out on is the fact that, 3 months later, you won't have any of those pictures organized. But we don't hold anything hostage. It's your stuff. We are probably the most committed company I've seen to privacy and also to IPTC standards. So if you really care about your stuff and you care about privacy, and you're tired of having monthly bills that just keep going up and up and up, Mylio Photos offers a free version and a flat rate paid version that lets you use storage with much greater control.
Christine asked again the pricing. Go ahead and go through that again one more time.
Sure. So I'll just jump to that. So we have 2 plans. So the free version will let you consolidate things, connect between different apps, use our selection and our reflection tools. If you want to connect devices and add protection, then it's $9.99 a month or $99 a year. If you need a slightly more detailed list, there's the differences between the free and the paid version. And we have that chart right on our website. So we don't believe in high pressure sales, but it's pretty straightforward. And I think we also have a really incredible Black Friday special going right now that not only do you get Mylio for that price, but you actually get a year of ViewBug and a year of Radiant Photo. I think, Alex, did that promotion go live today or is it tomorrow?
It is live now, Rich.
Great. So for $99 for the next couple of weeks, you actually get 3 apps instead of 1. So if you've been waiting to buy, now's probably a good time.
And a free canvas print too.
I don't know if that's still part of the bundle. Maybe it is.
It is. It is. I'm actually considering subscribing to Mylio now.
Yeah, $99 for those other 3 things. And I'm sure you could figure out how to tack that year onto your existing subscription if you need to.
Yes.
And if you missed, there's a good chuckle between the value of dog photos, cat photos in
yes,
in
the use
photos.
of AI for dog versus cat is notorious in most applications. And what's great about it is that unlike other tools, we give you that threshold slider. So it really becomes possible to narrow it down. So when I say cat, is it just cat? Right? Or I can go in and be more specific, like tiger or lion. But you can see here how we can really drill in. Oh, I'm just looking for cheetahs, right? And then I could adjust the threshold. Because if I lower the threshold on a cheetah and I say, give me a whole bunch of matches, what's kind of funny is we'll actually see some giraffes pop up in here because giraffes have similar spots. So a really low confidence AI score for a cheetah would be a giraffe if you were really tolerant. But same thing, like I could be super specific. Or if I just chose a regular cat, then I could adjust the threshold here and say, I really want that to be much more accurate. And it's going to drill in and it's going to find more photos of cats to really kind of help you get in there. Now, I'm rebuilding my library right now. As I said, I'm doing a restore for some backups. I was doing some maintenance work today. I forgot that we were doing an in-depth webinar, but all these files are seamlessly transferring back and restoring my library, which is great. And you can see how easy that is to go in and really quickly find things. And then you can start to combine that with like, oh, I want, and you probably don't actually want blurry cats, but you can add a filter and then reverse it. So that would be pictures of cats that were not blurry. So you can start building your own recipes up there very quickly and search across 500,000 photos plus in just a few seconds.
All right. I think at this point we'll at 2 o'clock and the questions are slowing down. So and yes, you have access to this in Canada. It's world. It's not.
There's only 2 countries we don't give access to, so you're not bound. So one's Russia, the other's China, and that's just because it's very difficult as a technology company to do business in those countries. So we don't. But not only do we do business, but if you are French Canadian, it's available in French, it's available in German, it's available in about 10 languages. So we try to be inclusive, but you'll find a wealth of material and things to make it easier.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And like I mentioned, we will be probably, coming back with doing, webinars on a fairly regular basis to help people understand Mylio and I think, but like Rich said, get started with the free version and can start playing around with it. And I think you'll find it really helpful. So thank you so much for your time, everybody, today. And look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care, everybody.